Hello, everyone, and welcome to Seriously Loco, the Seriously Crazy fan podcast for El Paso Locomotive FC. I'm Phil Bakian. I'm joined tonight by Mika Burrell. Mika, it's Monday. How's the week treating you?
Good evening, Phil. Today was busy. I guess just like a typical Monday, but I'm just like beat by it. I don't know about you, but no, still enough energy to do this, of course. But man,
Yeah.
it was a busy day. How was your day?
Yeah. I don't know. It was everybody's energy is kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was fine, I guess, but yeah, just trying to. I would say I don't know how y'all's weather is, which I know, like, because I'm assuming windy. Because
For
one, it's
sure.
windy AF up here, and like over the last couple of days, we've gone from like 70 to 30, and then I look out the window and it was snowing today, and I
Oh
was like,
no.
"The fuck is this?" Like it was supposed to be warm, and now it's like feels like 0. And then it'll be like in the 60s by Wednesday. So it's like
Yeah, no, I
madness.
think we're seeing the same like pattern because today was cold, but then it'll be like in the 90s on like Wednesday through the rest of the week. So anyway, yeah.
Oh man. Um well, yeah, a little bit crazy, and we will have a good show, I think, for everybody today. Obviously, a Locomotive win to discuss, 3-0 over Monterey Bay, 3 points in California. Not easy to come by. We'll also talk a little bit, just gloss over the fact that the USL still has not come to a collective bargaining agreement with its Players Association. And then we'll look ahead to the U.S. Open Cup match against Laredo Heat on Thursday. So everybody
Okay.
just like lock that in because it is a Thursday night game and no weekend game. Um,
What time do we kick off?
that is a great question and something I probably should have thought about before. Let's see. We kick off, and I will make sure to do the conversion here to Mountain Time. It is a Thursday night kickoff at 6:30 p.m. Mountain.
That's decent. Like get
Get it?
home, eat some dinner,
Yeah.
settle in. Is it on like YouTube, ESPN? What are we?
I want to say these are on YouTube. Yeah, these opening rounds will be on YouTube, and then I believe the later rounds are on Paramount now.
Bet. Okay. Thursday night. Lock it in, folks.
Thursday night on YouTube for free, so everybody
Yeah.
can easily access. But yeah, so a Thursday night game, no weekend game, and then we play the following weekend.
So a little bit of a break
Yeah,
after that. Okay.
I think it's
fair.
Sacramento.
Yes.
Up next, and then Vegas, Sacramento, then Vegas, I think is so. Anywho, so lots to talk about, but obviously, if you're finding the podcast for the first time, find us on your favorite podcast player and subscribe and do all that stuff. And we'd love to get more locos involved, so tell your friends. Mika, still no labor resolution for the USL, and I feel like there's just like this sort of Damocles hanging over the league where it's like the PA has voted to authorize a strike. We've played 2 weeks with just the protests, which we did actually see this one, like prior to the Monterey Bay match. They didn't shy away from it, I guess, in the same way. But so we see the player protest. And then, the game kicks off as normal. Like, there's really not much else going on, and it feels like we're in this weird limbo where the PA is still pushing for some kind of resolution and driving USL like back to the table. And I think there have been more negotiations, but still no agreement. And the longer the season goes on with no labor action, like it's kind of hard to see the PA like actually striking at this point, 2 games in, or, now at an Open Cup break weekend.
Yeah. I mean, here's hoping that maybe this little bit of reprieve from league play for some of these sides will allow further discussions. I hope they've been happening around the clock anyway, but I do think rightly or wrongly, fairly or unfairly, I think the longer we go and get into the season, like, the less palatable, like, work stoppage becomes to the average USL fan who's like, we're like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't strike if they feel like that's the right thing to do. That's totally their call. But I think it's like a hard sell for like casuals of the game or casual fans of the league who are like, wait, why are we stopping in like week 8? You know what I mean? Like that just becomes very hard to justify, I think, for folks like that. Now, folks who understand like all the issues and are by and large like on the side of the players association, I'm sure they would be disappointed as well, but maybe like understand a little bit more from that perspective. But I do think like narrative wise, like the players association loses an edge, I think, as the season goes on, because it's just easier to maintain the status quo, I think. I don't know if I'm off base there. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you're right in that. I think the players, they've done a good job. I think like the players' communication has certainly, for me, been better than the league, and like the players' association, I think, has done a better job of kind of staying on message. And obviously some of the to use the words the players use, like the union busting quote unquote tactics by the league of here's how you cross a picket line, etc. I don't think I don't think it played that well, and it certainly didn't force the players to accept, like they don't feel forced to accept the deal. So despite the fact that I think some of the potential leverage they would have had from a work stoppage is gone, I do think that the players seem to have at least maintained like a certain amount of pressure to not feel forced into taking the agreement that's on the table right now, and they feel like they can still continue to push the league. So I guess from that perspective, like they're probably standing on like at least what they would feel is like the moral high ground, and maybe like firmer ground to negotiate from. But
I thought you were gonna say they were standing on business. I was like, yeah, absolutely.
They are standing 10 toes down. So yeah. So I would say like it does feel like they're
That's true.
holding position at least, and I guess we'll see like if it leads to resolution with the league. I have to think that if they felt it was miles off, they would have struck, I guess, is how I'm thinking. Strook. They would have
striked. That doesn't sound right.
They would have strook if
they would have struck it.
They would have struck in if they felt they were miles off, I think. So
yeah,
maybe that's enough to take heart in for now. But yeah. So
as you were on that front, I suppose.
Yeah, I expect across if there's nothing done during this week, which is a good opportunity, then I expect we'll continue to see the minute protests at the beginning of each game. I had thought an interesting tactic could be that you add a minute every single week, where week 1 they do a minute, week 2 they do 2 minutes, week 3 they do 3 minutes, like until they're just like,
that would be spicy.
Where they're just like all of a sudden it's like 8 minutes of the game are passing with nobody moving. Like,
I mean, at that point, that is a work stoppage. Like you are you are refusing to play.
Yeah.
The referee's gonna add it on, but I mean,
that's funny.
No, yeah, that would be something.
But the good news is that we did have a game, and our worst fears were avoided, and a match in what many in my house are calling the Mike DiGiulio derby.
Many such cases.
El Paso Locomotive defeating Monterey Bay 3-0 in California. Like I said at the top of the show, Mika, I mean, 3 points in Cali, very hard to come by typically. But this Locomotive team did it with maybe short bursts of a lot of style. What did you make of the game? And I guess then we can talk about the team that did it. But what'd you make of the match overall from a Locomotive perspective?
Yeah, I mean, plenty of entertainment on display for this one. And I think you're right to point out, California's not been the happiest hunting ground for us, and Monterey Bay in particular has been a pretty balanced fixture, I would say. I think 3 wins for them, now 4 wins for us, so we're kind of tilting it, but plenty of draws in there as well. So it's never a given against them, even though they have been historically one of the weaker sides, at least as far as standings are concerned in the Western Conference. So, still though, don't want to take anything for granted. But yeah, I think you're right that there were like very specific instances of very high quality play and a level of ruthlessness on the counterattack that I have not seen in many moons from this El Paso Locomotive side. Um, a side that was mostly unchanged, I think, is that where we start with this lineup and what
Yeah.
Junior Gonzalez, decided to put out there at Cardinale.
Yeah, I think we talked about the fact on the last episode that it was probably likely that he'd kind of grouped these first 2 matches together, and especially having to travel to Monterey, like he'd probably stick with something similar. The lone change was Jimmy Farkaloon was on the bench and in favor of Beto Avila, but otherwise unchanged. So that's Romero, Hoban. And then the center back partnership of Dollenmeyer and oh my god, I'm losing my mind.
Chumesi.
Chumesi, yeah. And then Ricky Ruiz at left back, and then that midfield 3 of Coronado in the 6 with Calvillo and Alex Mendez, which we'll obviously spend, I think, quite a bit of time on, given what went down in this match. And then that front 3 with Rubin leading the line and Moreno and Avila either side. I think like the thing that really sticks out to me about this lineup, having now seen it in 2 instances, is that I would say from a from a stability standpoint and kind of the base level that they're capable of, and kind of the like, I think it gives me a lot. It does give me some hope in that it's quite a good foundation to build off of. While we still know that, likely Gabi Torres is to come back into the side. There's a handful of players that we haven't seen. Carl Sante, we haven't seen him make the 18 yet. There's some stuff that there are some pieces that could still be added. I think the thing that was interesting about watching it this particular time is I think we saw the highs that they are capable of, and there was also a little bit of the sloppiness, or the chances that can be conceded by the side as well, and things that will need some sharpening. But overall, I mean, 2 matches in with this lineup, and 16-year-old right back, all this stuff, I think there's a lot of heart that we can take from overall. I think the baseline level of this team is quite good. Even with some of I think there were some cracks that showed in this game that maybe Monterey Bay didn't take advantage of.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think you're right that Junior Gonzalez probably did have like a lineup in mind for this kind of set of fixtures, if you will. And like you said, only the one change. I mean, I don't think we can take for granted that Rubio Rubin has got off to an absolute flyer. I mean, that's exactly what the doctor ordered for this Locomotive side, is just a striker who just comes in and puts the fucking ball in the net right
Mhm.
away, right? And he's settled quickly. He looks like he's really fit. Um, Looks like he's really just enjoying himself out there. I don't
Yeah,
know that he really got to express himself in quite that way or with that many opportunities last year with Charleston. Charleston, right?
yeah,
Um,
that's right.
yeah, and so yeah, I love that. I love that Rubin's is off to a flyer and already 2 games in, well, not to be ridiculous, but I mean he is in the Golden Boot conversation.
100%.
And yeah, and we're seeing guys that are, have been here for a bit. Moreno getting off the mark as well. And then Mendez, who I think will be a big part of tonight. But yeah, overall, I thought it was just a really solid performance. And I do think, of course, we'll get into some of the ebbs and flows of this game and opportunities spurred by Monterey Bay. But I do think also it's kind of the nature of the beast in the USL Championship, as I was watching some other games in the league. And we are a very like transition based league. And it's really, I think you're not going to see a team more often than not have like higher than like 55% possession or more like regularly. Like I feel like that's quite rare. Who knows, maybe John from USL Tactics could correct me on that, but it does feel like a league that goes back and forth. It's just kind of the nature of it. So maybe in that sense, and especially with it being so early in the season, we could maybe forgive a little bit of the ceding of control. But you do want to see that kind of sharpen up. So
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And we've also seen like what um I mean, set pieces have already played like a very heavy role as they are in world football and and like Premier League football very notably, but they yeah, I think seeing the technical quality and like what this team was able to do with the ball on the ground was very encouraging. And this isn't like a blunt force side. This is a team that is going to play some good football, and I did really enjoy that. And I mean, you mentioned the like, let's not get ahead of ourselves on Rubio Rubin and the Golden Boot, but I mean, remember that last year, like our joint top scorers each had 10 goals, which is a decent return. But I mean, he's got 3. We played 2 games, like so,
and
like,
an assist to boot.
and an
So
assist. So yeah, I
yeah.
mean, in terms of goal involvements, like he's this is yeah. I mean, well, and obviously, I don't expect him to keep up this sort of return, but if he keeps up anything like this sort of return, he'll be in Nick Marcanic territory, like record setting territory. So um, speaking about the game itself, I mean, the game starts and it did for me feel like there aren't a ton of highlights in the opening 15-ish minutes, but it felt to me like, just remembering watching it back, that like Monterey Bay are very much kind of in it in those opening 15 minutes, and it just had a bit of the feel of maybe Colorado Springs as well, where it feels like maybe we're getting off to some nervy starts and not coming out of the blocks like too quickly. Obviously, not with the same consequences as against Colorado Springs where we conceded early, but and they do keep a clean sheet, so it's hardly the end of the world. But do you think, like, am I crazy thinking that maybe there's a little bit of a, like, we kind of get out of the blocks a little slow and take time to grow into matches in the first 10 or 20?
Yeah, I think that's locomotive heritage. I mean, especially on opening night, as we just saw, conceding in the
Yeah.
first 5 minutes. I mean, we literally did that to start our existence against Oklahoma City Energy. RIP. Um,
They might be coming back soon, so
that's true. That's true. Yeah, no, I mean, I do think we tend to start a little slow sometimes. I think you could be forgiven a little bit for maybe Monterey Bay in this particular fixture, it feeling a bit like a bit of an occasion. I mean, lest we forget, they did make a very big signing right before this game in Sebastian Lletget, someone who has won trophies with his MLS size, but definitely with the U.S. men's national team. And he's a big signing for them, so I think there was that air of like, this is an event, right, as far as Monterey Bay is concerned. So perhaps they had the vibes and the atmosphere on their side to start off. And that being said, I do think we did eventually grow into it. I mean, we started to dominate the ball a little bit. Definitely, I think we doubled their shot total in that first half, 8 to their 4. A couple of those on target as well. It did seem like Monterey wanted to make the game Well, I don't know. I don't know that it was necessarily purposeful or if it was just reckless, but there were some challenges in that first half that were like wild, like really
Yeah.
out of control. And I was like, are we trying to make this a game like that, or are these just like really bad technique footballers when it comes to the tackle?
It
Because
was.
there were a few that were really questionable, and
Yeah.
ultimately they pay for it at the end. But
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hard to tell whether they were mistimed or because it's one of those where if you know you're gonna be late and you want to leave one on somebody, right? Like it's possible to do that and be intentional and know that, but also the distance from goal. It's one of those things where maybe in USL like there's less concern about, if you're fouling somebody 30 yards out, it's
there's
like,
no
okay, well,
VAR.
yeah. Well, and it's like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Score? Good luck, and it's like, you didn't legislate for Alex Mendez being in the side. But yeah, it did feel like they were trying to make it a bit of a physical contest. Like, I think there was at the other end of the field, like Wesley Leggett versus Noah Dolenmeyer.
Yeah,
Leggett was really trying to make a point about like kind of getting Dolenmeyer in some like foul trouble, for lack of a better term, and like he wanted him in the book quite early. And Noah obviously, like, I think does quite well on the night, and actually like the one bad foul that he gives away against Leggett was a full dive, and just like he completely cons the linesman.
one
um
percent. Yeah,
so I think Noah stood up to that quite well, and like doesn't take the bait as much as he could have. But it did feel like Monterey maybe they were a little bit interested in making it somewhat of a like a free kick or card sort of battle. And it's interesting because I think Locomotive did a very good job of, one, not getting kind of sucked into, because we've seen Locomotive in the past like fall for that and
yeah.
get wound up and be like the ones who end up in the in the handbags and all this other stuff, like um
Get
and
triggered.
yeah, get so like so I think it was good to kind of rise above that. And they were like flying into the tackles, and I think there some of the Locomotive players like who were on the end of these things are like also brave in that they're kind of standing in and knowing that they're about to get wiped out.
Yeah,
And but they're taking the fouls, and obviously I think it leads to two free kicks in quick succession for Alex Mendez. Roughly similar position, like just to the, as you're looking at goal from behind the ball, like just to the right of like centered in the goal, 30-ish yards out, maybe 28, somewhere in there. And it was kind of unclear how they're gonna approach it, because it's like, it's kind of far enough out where you might try to float it to the back post, and not really go for goal. And Mendez, on the first attempt, takes it on goal, and I think kind of catches the keeper, Delgado, I think was his
Delgado.
name. Yeah, kind of catches him out a little bit, and he's getting across, but kind of has to shovel it behind. It leads to a corner. And it was like, oh, he kind of caught him off guard, thinking maybe gave him the eyes, like he's going to cross it or something, and goes for goal instead. And with this really like this technique where the ball, he's not trying to hit it overly hard. And in fact, I think like he's trying to make it where the ball sort of dies and bounces like right near the goal line, or right near where the keeper could field it. And the first time Delgado just about deals with it. Well, he gets one a little bit later, and it was like 4 minutes between them or something like that. And you're thinking like, surely not, right? Like he's probably going to try something else. And Alex Mendez says, if at first you don't succeed, see if the keeper can do it again, right? And he couldn't get across to deal with it. it does take a bit of a wicked bounce, like right underneath his hands, basically. Um, but yeah, dies on the keeper and finds its way into the back of the net, and what a goal for Alex Mendez to open his account for Locomotive and open the scoring on the night.
Yeah, I think Alex Mendez was one that we highlighted as potentially, a very intriguing signing after Rubio Rubin, given his resume, having played in Europe, having been educated in football in Europe with, the Ajax youth side and stuff like that. So, you can tell watching Alex Mendez that he has a level of technical quality that's just a little bit above your average, maybe a lot above your average USL championship player. The fact that he was at FC Juarez, I mean,
Yeah.
I would think that he's been on the radar for a little bit then, having been in the ownership group before, if you will. But yeah, it looks like he's the one that's going to be taking set pieces. He was taking corners as well, at least on the left-handed corners, if I'm not mistaken. No, on the right because he's left-footed. So
Mhm.
he was taking in swingers. Um, so yeah, I mean, just really good ball striking technique. The fact that he can put it in that same exact position twice, like
Mhm.
that's difficult to do, right? I mean, like he makes it awkward with the kind of like lower postage stamp, if you will,
Yeah.
like that lower corner, but also the power of it. It's just an awkward thing for Delgado to have to deal with, and Delgado, he's only 19 years old. Like as a keeper, that's like 14 for like an
Infant.
outfield player. Yeah, so I mean, he's got a lot to learn as far as positioning and that kind of thing. But yeah, just in that particular duel, if you will, between him and Alex Mendez, he ends up scoring the opener, and it's a really decent free kick. And as much of a victim as we've been of set pieces, it's nice that we have someone who is apparently a dead ball specialist and can do that kind of thing and reliably get it on target. Um, and well deserved for him because I thought he was really good. And this position that he's playing too is very interesting because I think we're thinking or like profiling him as kind of like a 10, but he's really kind of just like he could be wherever he needs to be, and he's
Yeah.
very good at, I'm very impressed too with, like, his clipped balls, like, like, over the top passes that he just, like, lands right at the feet of whoever needs to get it. I mean, he did that a lot on the night, so, yeah, his technique is just really, really good, and, yeah, the finish notwithstanding, like, he was just very influential the entire night, and just popping up wherever he needed to be, so yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more about him, but yeah, the opening goal for sure is a really nice one.
It was really interesting you mentioned, because on the night I was trying to figure out, like, he reminds me of people,
Mm.
in the way that he's like flicks balls around the corner. He takes these little touches like to take the ball away from defenders. Um, and that was the thing that stuck out to me. In addition to obviously like he has a great night on the stat sheet and has these kind of two marquee moments, and we'll get on to the his involvement in the second goal in a second. But the I think what stuck out to me was just like one when he has the ball at his feet, he's kind of capable of whatever, and sometimes he's going to pick something very simple. Sometimes he's going to like give himself time to pick something a little bit, like to do something a little bit more special. Um, but he has this very sort of easy, flowy way of playing football that like he doesn't ever look particularly hassled or rushed, like, and he kind of plays the game at his own pace. And so it was reminding me, like I
Exactly.
said, Dimitar Berbatov of like just having this languid kind of style. But you mentioned Kai Havertz, and I actually think like that probably is like the more apt and maybe even another like former Leverkusen man with Florian Wirtz of like having this sort of like playing the game at kind of your own pace, but it's somehow quicker than ever. Like even though it seems like you're taking your time, you're
The
somehow
speed of
quicker than
thought.
yeah.
Y
Um
Yeah, the speed of thought, the execution, but at the same time, like, you watch him and you're like, oh, he like found the pass that he wanted, picked the person out, completed it, and no one's been able to press him in what felt like kind of a process for him to like figure that out. So yeah, he's absolutely playing at his own pace and kind of bending the game to his will, if you will.
Yeah.
And we see that with the goal that ultimately I don't know that is it the one where he clips one out to the left flank? Is it for Moreno? And then they end up going on that counterattack. I think it was no, that might have been Coronado who did that one.
I think it was Coronado,
yeah. So never mind. But yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think like the Kai Havertz kind of like languid, maybe even like a Mesut Ozil, maybe. Like, I don't know if he keeps up the assists, maybe. But yeah, and then he's just kind of floating everywhere around on the pitch, finding himself wide as well.
Mm-hmm.
And which I think is how he gets the assist. Now that I'm thinking about it, he kind of finds himself on the like right half space, and is able to find that's the ball that he clips from the right half space over to basically the left half space to where Rubio Rubin is, which I'm like, how do you have this connection with these players so quickly? Like, it's pretty incredible.
Let's talk about the second goal. So, it's shortly after halftime, and it's one of those where at 1-0, you're thinking like, okay, we've seen this movie before, like where we get kind of nervy and play within ourselves. Like play too much within ourselves and don't kind of grab the game by the scruff of the neck and try to see it out and all that sort of stuff. So counterattack opportunity begins, and there's some really nice play from Mendez and others to like move the ball from the right hand side like into the center of the park. And then it's Moreno. I think it's Moreno who finds Rubin, and Rubin is on halfway, basically.
Oh, yes, you're right. It was Rubin. You're right. Yeah.
And then
Moreno, yeah.
Moreno finds Rubin like on halfway. Rubin plays the ball out to the right where Alex Mendez picks it. Like, he plays that pass.
Yeah.
Rubin covers 70 yards, like, essentially.
Yes.
Where he just hauls that whole time, and then Mendez looks up, sees Rubin has run into acres of space at the back post, and he has a very small area to drop it in because there are a bunch of Monterey Bay defenders, so if the ball's too flat, they'll head it away. And you could easily overcook it to where, he's in acres of space of the back post, and I just put it into the, the torta truck behind the goal.
Not the torta truck.
And so he drops it into the like exactly the area where Rubin can play it, and then so Mendez shows his quality in like picking this pass, and then Rubio Rubin shows his by controlling with his chest and finishing on the volley like from the chest control, not needing a touch, not needing it to bounce. Like, he just controls it with his chest and finishes first time. And it in the moment it looks. It's one of those goals where, if you just watch the finish, you're like, okay, well, he's like right next to the goal and finish it. Like, so there are people who will probably watch that goal back and be like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, he's like 2 yards out. Of course he scored. And it's like all of the stuff that led to that moment, and then the control itself, the finish, like that all is just like of the highest quality. And I know Alex Mendez's free kick, I think, is up for goal of the week. To me,
this is the better goal.
This is the goal of the week. Like, this is the goal of the week.
Yeah, no, I think USL Championship have a bias for like dead balls and like individual efforts, but this is the one for me. Like, this goal is absolutely absurd. And I think Monterey Bay's original sin is when Moreno who plays the ball into Rubin in basically the center circle, and they allow him to turn, like dribble and turn at halfway. Like, if we're gonna be throwing in like insane tackles, make that one, right? Get a card on that one
in the center circle, 1,000 yards from goal, like,
and they're starting a counterattack. Like, you take that one, right? But they allow him to turn, plays a really nice ball out to Alex Mendez, and then, like you said, busts a gut to get, make up all that yardage. And then with the left foot, Mendez is able to find him and drop it right into his path, and he chests it down, and it's just absurd. Like I
Yeah.
can't remember a counterattack this ruthless, right? And from players who ostensibly don't know each other that well.
Yeah.
But yet they're able to do it, and it's just I love it. I love this kind of a goal because this
Yeah.
is how you. I mean, this is really how you win in USL Championship, right? Is to make these transitions count, right?
Mhm.
Because, like I said, there's so many of them in the league, but if you're not doing enough with them, which Monterey Bay, we'll talk about it, right? They had a lot of them themselves as well, but that was the
Yeah.
difference, is the quality. They just could not get it on target. Glasgow. So yeah, this is the pick of the bunch for me as well. Of course, no shade to Alex Mendez and his free kick, but like
No.
this goal is just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
From the build up to the finish ultimately. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely goal, and I think the nice thing about it is that Locomotive again like don't rest on their laurels, and they get another opportunity just a few minutes later, and really I think it ended up being one of those goals in practice, but it felt in the moment like one of those goals where it's like how to like fully take the wind out of a team's sails, right? Like, because they just got knocked. It's 2-0 now. Like, they've got a mountain to climb, all that sort of stuff. And to hit them for a third, like, basically right after was important in the flow of the game. This time you mentioned it's the ball from Coronado out to Moreno, who I want to say Armando Moreno, like in the initial control of this, and playing it into space for himself. Like this is very, very clever. And like great physical play too, which Moreno obviously being on like the shorter side and everything, it could be easy to write off the physicality, but he obviously like he backs down the defender, like touches the ball into space for himself, and then finds Rubio Rubin, who has the like all the attention now that he's got the ball in the penalty area. It's like, okay, this is the guy. And it's the simplest layoff basically for everybody. He's got like this gravity, so everybody goes that way. He plays it back across to Armando with the 1-2, and just and it's a good finish too from Armando Moreno. I think like would be easy to fluff your lines from there, and moving ball, hit first time, all that sort of stuff, like easy to skew it wide, and finishes into the side netting. And another just front back to front sort of goal for Locomotive. This one a little bit more direct in the construction than the second, but yeah, very, very nicely done. And Rubin, scorer turn provider. So we have like a chain of scorers turn provider, of Mendez scoring the first and assisting the second, and Rubin scoring the second and assisting the third for Moreno.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I like this goal a lot too, because again, like you said, direct. Like we have to take advantage of those opportunities when they're presented. Um, I like, it's funny because I think Armando Moreno ends up doing most of the work to get that ball down and like you said, touch it into space, and it's very clever. But I do like the fact that Coronado realized that they were pressing, that Monterey Bay was pressing ball side, and he had all that space. Because if you pause it on when he gets the ball, there's like 3 guys to the right of him. And he's like, oh, okay, you've all abandoned that other wing. Like I'll just like toss it over there and see if Armando can hook it down, which he does.
Yeah.
And so I love that. I think those diagonals are. I mean, we kind of saw it against Colorado Springs. I think one of those diagonal balls that Hoban played, the one that he played, that ultimately led to a goal. So more of that, because if the space is there, take it, right? And we have the players to play that kind of a system. We definitely should take advantage of it when you've got that speed and that trickery on the wings, like Armando Moreno, like, to a certain extent Beto Avila, and even Jimmy Farkalun, as we've seen early doors. So yeah, great touch by Armando. And Rubio Rubin, like, again, he senses that something's on and he starts his sprint again. Like, it just his fitness is looking really, really solid. And um for him to take the ball, realize he doesn't have, the cleanest shooting lane, and play it back to Armando, who's ready for it. You could forgive Armando for thinking, well, my striker's gonna take this on, so I'll kind of
Yeah.
hang back. But he's also in the penalty area and he's able to put that one away, and he looked absolutely elated. And I think this is gonna be a big season for Armando. He's getting on. He's 30, if I'm not mistaken. So, like towards the end of his prime, still in it, I think. But um yeah, I think with this quality of players around him, I hope we can see some of his very best football. Which, he's done a lot for the club already, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that this can be a boon for him. And, for him to open his account in the second week, I think is, what more could you ask for from, who was your star signing, much like Rubio Rubin was a couple years ago after, coming over from the rivals. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm so pleased for Armando, and he looked elated. Like, his smile was just contagious. So yeah, I'm glad that all the big guns are getting off the mark early this season.
Yeah. Armando's take care season.
Love that.
A Marvin's room. No, Armando's room. I don't know. Anyways, there's something here. So the remainder of the match, like, unfortunately for us, I guess, like, as Locomotive fans, the rest of the match was way more about Monterey Bay, like, not doing stuff, or doing the most, maybe. So first things first, Belmar Joseph was sent off, like, shortly after the third goal, and it was a second yellow. The first, 100%. It was one of those crazy challenges that was, like, maybe even orange on a different day. Like, where he gets a yellow, but, like, it was a really crazy. He's just, like, nowhere near the ball, just, like, wipes out. I think his was the 2-footed one that was just, like, completely unnecessary. I don't know. There's, like, some really wild ones in there. His second yellow and the sending off, I guess I can kind of see why he's like, why am I getting a second yellow for this? And at the same time, it's like, brother, what are you doing flying into, like, why are you even putting yourself in this position, especially pressing? Like, if I'm not mistaken, he's pressing. He's, like, at the wrong end of the field, where the first yellow was at least taken in the defensive third of the field. He's, like, the second yellow he takes in a pressing, maybe Dolenmeyer, Coronado, or something, like, on the edge of Locomotive's penalty area. It was very odd.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's ostensibly trying to press who was gonna be the ball carrier in Eric Calvillo. But if you
Calvillo, yeah.
if you watch it back,
Calvillo.
Oh my god, good god. Yeah, that was pissing me off. Calvillo.
Those letters exist for a reason. Like,
Right.
yeah.
But I mean, if you watch it back, I mean, it's actually pretty clever from the captain, because his head's on a swivel, right? He knows, like, this guy's kind of on one, and he senses he's gonna come, because he watches right before Romero plays the ball to him. He turns around, looks over his shoulder, Belmar's coming. And he does try to turn to, like, run with the ball, but he does end up getting, Belmar does end up getting it wrong.
Yeah.
And taking Eric Calvillo out right on the edge of his own box. So, I mean, I guess if you're Jordan Stewart, maybe you maybe you appreciate the endeavor and the willingness to try and press, but it's a yellow. I don't think it's as bad as the first one necessarily, but the ref's got a good view of it, and I don't think, like, he can be surprised. It's just not. It's not a challenge he needs to be making in that area of the pitch, in that game situation. Like, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And a Monterey side that I think have yet to score a goal. I mean, it's only match week 2, but and then to be going down a man, like that's the absolute last thing that you need, right?
Yeah.
And in some ways, I think that ultimately led to like us allowing, in a weird kind of way, like allowing a little bit more shots, because I think we thought, okay, the game's like done and dusted now. Like we were up 3-0. They just got a man sent off. They end up taking some of the initiative after that, and I think they doubled their shot output from the first half. No real big chances that I can remember. A lot of missed ones for sure.
Well, at least one big chance, but
no, well, true. The one Glasgow one, yeah. But yeah, I think this is just stupid, to be honest with you. Like, the foul is not like horrendous, but it's just like a stupid decision to make. Either a stupid decision to make or just like bad pressing. Like,
right.
You should know, like, Eric Covio's a veteran, a championship winning midfielder. Like, you got to be a little more clever than that. Like, because he had him on toast.
Yeah, and it's like you said, like bad pressing in that obviously the worst outcome of pressing there is getting sent off. Like that is worst case scenario. But only slightly less worse is like if your goal is to press and win the ball high up or press them into making a bad pass, giving a foul away is like the worst thing you can do, because it immediately alleviates any pressure that you were applying. So it's like taking a foul there isn't even a good idea if he doesn't get booked, right? Like it's already, so like you said, it just, from any angle you look at it, it's just just poor decision making. And yeah, I don't think he can have too many complaints, given that it was, again, late, kind of unnecessary. And like, I don't think it was lost on the referee that they were also kicking Eric Calvillo specifically like a lot in this game.
He was in the wars, as they say. Yeah, Eric Calvillo definitely put the body on the line for the side, for sure.
You mentioned that Monterey Bay kind of sees the initiative a bit, and they do. There are a couple of like key moments where the one is actually, I think, starts out as either I think it starts out as a throw for Locomotive, or maybe even a corner, where we tried something and it ends up coming out towards I think like first Coronado maybe, and then Ricky Ruiz like tries to make a last ditch tackle, and Omari Glasgow, who it's worth noting is like on loan from Chicago Fire, spent last season at Loudoun, is got some meaningful minutes with Chicago Fire before he went to Loudoun on loan. He is in on goal 1-on-1 and blazes high and wide.
Now this actually was good pressing, like in their own half, because like every man understood the assignment, and Locomotive were on the back foot once the ball broke away. But yeah, to not even, like, he just gets under it, like his toes just, I'm watching it back right now, and he just completely like digs it out of the pitch and over. And I just think like a professional has to be hitting the target there, at least. Like, if you hit the target and it's tame, like that's almost more understandable than like blazing over. So yeah, I guess his feet were faster than his brain. But yes, that was the I think that was the one that you were like, okay, like we need to like calm this down a little bit, because we cannot have this happening. And he ends up having like a few more shots, maybe nothing as gilt-edged as that, but like I think like not even like 5-6 minutes later, he's got one decent look and he blazes that one even higher. So it's just like, I don't know if that mentally, I mean, it must have done something mentally to him to miss that, to not even get it on target. And then all the chances that he had after that were just ballooned over. But I mean, yeah, I didn't know that he's on loan from an MLS side. I mean, clearly he's got some talent if that's the case, but
yeah. Well, and physically and like throughout the night, it was one of those things where I think Leggett suffers from this too, where like him and Wesley Leggett both feel like they're on the edge of making something happen, but don't actually.
Yeah.
And that's where it does feel like there's something there in both cases. And, lucky for Locomotive Glasgow. Fluffs his lines on a couple of different occasions. I think the second one you were talking about is one where it kind of trickles through the penalty area where Legit, it might have been Legit, like pulls it back and tries to cut it back, and Glasgow ends up on the end of it, and he balloons it over.
You know what? I'm gonna sound really mean saying this, but like of all the shots that Glasgow took, I'm like, which one is your strong foot? Like, I'm not exactly clear because the breakaway I think was a right-footed shot.
Right-footed shot, yeah.
And then the one that started from us like playing it out, and Noah Dolenmeyer like heads it and someone else doesn't win their duel.
Yeah.
And he shoot that's with the left, but that was also like horrible. So I'm like, what would you say your feet do here? Like which one's a good one? I don't know. I mean, that's just my really intrusive thought. I'm sure he's a good footballer. It just wasn't his night.
Yeah, no, not his night. And I mean, not his night against Oakland as well, because he had 5 shots and none on target against Oakland as well. So he's
it's giving a Adama Traore, like low key.
A little bit. Yeah. Where he's like
everything kind of like a unit and like
everything
pacey,
up until everything up until the point where he has to put the ball in the net. Like, yeah. I don't know. Tough night. I did have to chuckle a bit to myself that Sebastian Lletget. Now, I get it's a Monterey Bay broadcast and all that sort of stuff, but I did find it very funny when they were like, who else but Sebastian Lletget has been named the man of the match? I was like, this man has been on the pitch for like 10 minutes. What are you talking about? Like, even if it's the, Estrella Jalisco of the match, like,
in like a 4-0 loss at home.
Yeah, like I get that you have to pick like one of our players. That's just how it works. But yeah, like picking the guy who is like, hey, this is our marquee, is like just the famous guy that we signed. Like, I just thought that was really crazy. Like, I don't know, it's just very weird to see. But what'd you make of Lletget, his championship debut?
I mean, you know what? I think he's diminished physically from his peak,
Sure.
obviously, and in his position as kind of like a DM holding midfielder. Maybe that's not necessarily in the end of the world. I mean, we've seen the likes of like Richie Ryan play well into their 30s because they have a football brain, right? In the same way that Alex Mendez has like you can tell he's like a level above in technique. I think Lletget also has that, whereas his dead balls are very good. And there were a few that were threatening. But I mean, can't have trained much with the team, if at all. And so I wasn't really expecting much. I think they just wanted to give him a run out and show him off to the fans before they go on the road. I think they're on the road next time out. So he was fine. I think I've been seeing, like, I saw someone comment, it was like something brain dead, like, oh, like, what a fall off. I'm like, he's like 35. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, he's this is fine. Like,
I saw some wild stuff that was like, oh, he was at his peak, he's in MLS and all this stuff, and then he cheated on Becky G, and this is what he gets. He's in the championship or whatever. I'm like,
dog. That happened when he was still in LA. Like, can we be for real? Like,
and he's like aging like any human, right? Where it's like,
right,
how fucking dare he?
Right.
So, yeah.
Exactly. No, I think the move is fine. I mean, am I right? He has some kind of like equity stake.
It does seem like, now he's got like a bit of a ownership stake in the team, which, I mean, I think slippery slope to go down if that is your recruitment strategy, because there's only so much equity to give. But like,
I mean, that is true.
But no, I think for someone like that, the opportunity arises, somebody with like California ties,
right,
and yeah, I mean, it feels like
a team that needs that leadership, I think.
Yeah.
So, they've been in the doldrums. Like, they need to, like I said at the outset, I think, or maybe last week when we spoke about the preview, like, this is a team that really needs to, like, make the postseason, and who knows, maybe that veteran presence can help push them on. They got to get better with their finishing, that's for sure. The tip of the spear needs to be sharpened, but
Yeah.
um but yeah, they threatened. I think the clean sheet is a little bit fortunate.
Yeah.
Romero had a little bit more to do in this game, compared to Colorado Springs, which is ironic considering we conceded 2 there, but that's football, I suppose.
Yeah. Um, well, as we look at the lineup, and we've got a bit of a break before the next championship action, and we'll talk about US Open Cup here in a second, but we did get a question on Twitter from Herbie Taylor asking, with Hoban staying in the lineup, where would Torres fit in? And I think, the fullback situation is an interesting one, like across the board, because Gabby primarily playing on the left wouldn't necessarily come in for Kenny, but we've got two like senior right backs who Hoban is currently like keeping out of the lineup to a certain extent. Quezada came on, I think, in the late stages of this one again. Maybe not for Hoban though. I don't think, or maybe he didn't. I don't know. But I think they did shift Dolenmeyer out to left back towards the end there when they brought Alfaro on. I think they brought him on for Ruiz, and shifted Dolenmeyer out to the left. So, anyways, like then on the left hand side, we've got Gabby and Ricky. It seems like Gabby is not healthy, at least to
Mhm.
start the season, and might be rehabbing something. But fullback wise, like, do you think, given Hoban's start to the season, how much do we think we're going to see of him? And then on the left back side, like, do you think it'll just be like a straight Gabby and Ricky platoon on the left, like depending on Gabby's fitness? And I guess for the right, with 3 choices for the one spot, who do you think, on balance is going to be featured more between Hoban, Diaz, and Quezada?
I mean, I think Quesada is a really good player. I think if Hoban doesn't have the debut that he has, you probably think he's like first choice, I think. And then Hoban and Memo Diaz probably battle that out. One's the rookie and one's the veteran, of course. Um, I think on the right, yeah, it just remains to be seen. I think you have to protect Kenny. He's
Hmm.
young, right? And not fully developed, football wise and as well as physically. So I think you have to protect him in that way. I
Hmm.
I would like to see significant rotation for the US Open Cup and see what else we have and what else we can do with this personnel. As far as Gabi Torres, I mean, I think it's a question of like where does he play, because last season we had to turn to him in midfield to solve some creative woes. Now we know he can create from wherever he is on the pitch, so I suppose in a way it kind of doesn't matter where he plays, but um I think you do have to make room for him. So I suppose left back would be the obvious place. I think he'd be wasted at 6. I think Calvillo and Mendez have done nothing to warrant be dropped. And so yeah, I guess left back does seem like the obvious place. But yeah, like you said, he is apparently rehabbing an injury. But I mean, it's tantalizing though, isn't it? Because he was probably the highlight of the season last year as far as like technical quality output, and to see what this team is doing with these new pieces, and you add Gabi Torres to that. I mean, that is very exciting indeed. So I hope we do see it sooner rather than later. Um, yeah, I think Ricky Ruiz probably does have a battle on his hands for that position. Um, if and when Gabby Torres gets fit. So, but yeah, Hoban, you just got to protect him, I think. And
Yeah.
be smart about how much you use him, when you use him, what demands you're making of him, and and also to keep him honest, right? To keep him hungry. And not every place in the team is not no place in the team should be guaranteed. So, and I think he knows that better than anyone. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I think yeah, Gabby Torres, just a reminder on his output, like you said, his output last season, just in the league, 4 goals, 7 assists, which is not counting any of his other contributions in the cups. So yeah, he was just a revelation last season, and I think yeah, it'll be nice to get him back in the team. But a nice problem to have, I guess, and one that we weren't necessarily thinking we were. I did, I didn't expect to feel blessed at fullback with any sort of depth. And turns out, having 3 senior choices at right back is pretty wild. You mentioned the Hoban minutes, and I think it's that's another thing that's becoming a bit of a conversation in world football right now, is like overuse of teenagers, like when they are physically not prepared for the like workload that is put on a modern footballer. So USL season obviously not as fixture heavy as the elite teams in Europe or anything like that, but if you make any sort of cup run combined with the USL season combined with the USL Cup, like you're starting to talk about like 40 plus matches, which that load does start to feel pretty heavy, especially if he's getting like significant minutes in these. And the last thing you would want is some kind of like basically like overuse injury for a player that young.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Junior's been, almost almost like exclusively working with like youth footballers for quite a long time.
That's
So
true. Yeah.
I
So
feel
he
like
would know better than anyone.
he probably will know, but yeah, it is something to keep an eye on, just because like, especially since he's been good. So it's hard to argue with the fact that it's like, yeah, he deserves to be in the team. And like, there are going to be a lot of times where we're going to have to lean on the senior guys, like, because he just isn't going to be able, he's not somebody we can say like, oh, he should, 2000 minutes or anything like that in the league. Like, this is a guy that he'll need the rotation. So, um, rotation, you mentioned Open Cup coming up on Thursday, like we said at the top of the show. Laredo Heat, the opponent, the former club of one Memo Diaz. So a little bit of a reunion there. But Mika, I mean, rotation wise, before I get into some of the Laredo Heat facts for folks, so we can like know our opponents a little bit. Rotation wise, like we've mentioned the fact that there are some folks we haven't really seen on the bench. Some have only seen minutes like later in the games. But we can pretty much bank on this being a pretty different looking side on Thursday night. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be shocked if we don't. Between the travel, the fact that we've had 2 league games already, I would hope that we change it up pretty significantly. And actually, Memo Diaz, if he's fit, I would love for him to start. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Maybe he can give us a little insight into what it's like to play in Laredo and that kind of thing. But yeah, I would expect that we'd rotate pretty heavily. Maybe see Abidia lead the line. He's come off the bench a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Farkaloon, he can get back into the starting 11, that kind of thing. And then maybe even get a look at another keeper, because I think we thought maybe Sebastian Moramora, that was his shirt to take, but
Yeah.
Romero has kept that starting place for these 2 league matches, so maybe we'll see a change between the sticks as well. But I'm a little bit excited for this one, just because we finally like stopped, the being a meme every single year in the U.S. Open Cup. Finally,
Mm-hmm.
we've been having a little bit more success recently, so. Yeah, I'm excited to see what we can do. I mean, I think we're heavily favored, as far as the opponent is concerned. But I cannot lie to you, I've never laid eyes on Laredo Heat playing football, so I don't know what to expect in that sense. I do know that they're kind of on like a torrid run of form, if I'm not mistaken. But other than that, that's about it. That I know of.
Yeah, so last season, so Laredo Heat is a member of USL League 2, so that is the semi-professional level below League 1, cuz somehow USL backed its way into the English naming convention of leagues. So Laredo Heat have been around for a long time. They were founded in 2004, which we were talking before we started recording, that is like 20 plus years in semi-pro American soccer is like 100 years in like football club years. Survival that long is just very difficult, and so it just goes to show that Laredo Heat have done something quite right to be able to stick around for this period of time. But last season was their first season back in USL League 2 after about 10-ish years in the National Premier Soccer League, which is, a semi-pro league that is not affiliated with USL in any way. So they came back to USL League 2, and they played in the Lone Star division of USL League 2 because it is like kind of hyper localized, where you have to minimize travel and all that sort of stuff. They won 11 and lost 1 in their regular season last season. So 12 games, 11 wins, and a plus 24 goal difference in just 12 games. They finished 12 points clear at the top of Corpus Christi FC, who are now a USL League 1 team. But that is so quite the season for Laredo Heat. And then so they, by virtue of finishing top of the Lone Star division, they went to the playoffs, and they lost their playoff game to Fort Lauderdale United FC, who, for those who are watching the Super League, their women's team plays in USL's like top division on the women's side, and their men's side is going to start in USL League 1 next season, so 2027. But so Laredo Heat lost 2-1 after extra time, despite this is really crazy. They had a man sent off. Laredo Heat had a man sent off in the 10th minute.
Oh no.
So they played with 10 from 10 minutes until 90 plus 6 when they had a second sending off. There were 2 goals, like each of the goals that were scored by either team in regular time were in first half stoppage time. So Morale opened the scoring for Fort Lauderdale United from the spot. And then Meza, which we'll talk about if I can find him real quick. We will talk about Laredo Heat's top scorer, because I think, anyway, we'll get to it in a second. But bottom line, Meza scores in first half stoppage time 45 plus 8.
Damn.
So and then it goes all the way to extra time, and Laredo is playing that extra time with 9 men, and they concede a goal 5 minutes into the extra time period and lose 2-1 to get knocked out of the playoffs. But overall, a very good season in the regular season. Ended a little bit sooner than they would have liked in the playoffs. But the interesting thing about the Open Cup is that it begins before the season in League Two. So like Laredo Heat has not played any
Oh.
games.
Oh no, it's giving Bodo Glimt.
It could be a Bodo Glimt. But this is what makes it so difficult to actually like assess the teams, because there's a high degree of variability season to season
Right.
in USL League Two. One, because players like move around and stuff like that, but two, because for those who don't know, like a bulk of the League Two squads is essentially a summer league for college
For NCAA players, right.
Yeah. So a lot of the rosters are made up of those players. So their early Open Cup rosters often are not like their final form. Um
Oh,
because
good.
they don't have any of their, or they don't have some of their like college players. So yeah, oftentimes they can look a little bit different by the time you get into the like meat of the League Two season versus these early days. But I wanted to talk about I wanted to talk about the top scorer for Laredo Heat, because I think the stats on USL League Two have, and the actual stat keeping for Laredo Heat has robbed him of some credit for regular season goals, because so Sergio Eduardo Meza Carrillo is listed as the top scorer for Laredo Heat, joint top scorer with Kai Louvier at 5 goals apiece. But then further down the line, tied for 4th with 2 goals, is Sergio Meza Carrillo, which makes me think that
Okay.
Sergio Eduardo Meza Carrillo and Sergio Meza Carrillo, I don't think those are two different people. I'd be surprised. So I think Sergio Meza scored 7 goals in Laredo Heat season, and something about the way that they like entered the data
That's so lower
and
league.
didn't include Eduardo on a handful of his like goals means that he got registered as a different person. Um but will he be back? Like we don't know. Like he could be on the team, he could not be, who knows. So yeah, anyways, a bit of a, this is the sort of like non-league stuff that it is technically league, I guess, but the semi-pro stuff that you love to see.
Right, right. Yeah, and I mean, what I could
Yeah.
see is that he scored, like, 8 goals or something. Yeah, okay. That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, for our sake, I hope he's not.
Yeah.
Because I really can't do another, Central Valley Fuego. Like, it's
I was
either,
gonna say
like, Fuego, Heat,
like
like, I don't
we
like
don't do
that.
well. We don't do well against fire related. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So I don't like the through line there of,
Yeah.
like, hot things. Uh, no, but in all seriousness, like, I think we gotta be going out there and, getting through to the next round, not as a formality, but almost. I mean, come on. But yeah, no, it's on the road again. We haven't had many US Open Cup games in El Paso, so yeah,
I think
road
Harpo's was the last one.
that one, and then before that was, like, Forward Madison, no? Like, did we have anything before that?
No, I think you're right. I think you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so we've gone on the road a lot. Um, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, honestly,
Yeah.
because I just think we have turned a page in our US Open Cup recent history, so it's a little more fun knowing that we've finally gotten that, like, first round exit monkey off the back.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
I want another shot. I want another shot at Austin, if that's at all on the table.
We
It
played
really,
so well.
we
Like,
really did.
fuck.
Then
Anyway,
Brandon Vasquez, fucking
yeah.
asshole.
Oh man, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but I'm excited for
That we
it.
will. Yeah, no, it should be good. And like we said, it's on YouTube, so it should be an easy watch for folks. Evening watch, 6:30 p.m. kickoff, Mountain Time. Um, and yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out. I mean, Thursday, maybe could do a cheeky watch along. We'll see. We'll have to see how Thursday goes. It really depends on how Thursday goes. Because if
The day.
if the day
Yeah.
goes okay, then it's possible that there's a watch along. If not, we'll see. But anyways, yeah, looking forward to that. And obviously nice always to talk about a Locomotive win. So,
Absolutely.
Mika, I mean, any closing thoughts, anything on your mind as we close out here?
No, I think that's about it. I mean, happy for the win, happy for the clean sheet, happy that locomotive soccer is back, and it does seem like a new era is here. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I do like what we're seeing early doors, and I do think the vibes are good overall. So I hope we can keep that rolling against Laredo.
Agreed. And yeah, thanks everyone for listening. And hopefully, like I said at the top of the show, go ahead and subscribe and like and all those things on your favorite podcast platform. And we will see you next time. But until then, stay loco.